Now the players are spawning in, so welcome everyone to the first of the finals in the Team Duel 2v2 tournament hosted by ExodusEsports.com. I'm Marshall, joined by Roncat.
Good evening to everybody.
And in this particular case it is a game between Pizza Money in purple and Pie of the People in orange. Pie of the People comprising Pieman and Alpha. Looking at their spawns across there, we can see Naval spawn on Zillus, interestingly enough, and a bot spawn, double bot spawn on Purgatorium. Conversely, in purple, however, oh blimey, that commander spawned far away from the water on Zillus. From Custard and AndreasG, we've gone bots first on the land, following with heavy vehicles and air. Meanwhile, on Purgatorium, their commander bots first.
Now, what I will observe is in multi-planet games where you have got multiple players spawning on different planets, what often happens is that one planet is designated as the primary planet. So that player will build more vehicles, more bots, and more military units than Eco. And what happens is, of course, because the players are sharing economy, the player on the other planet will focus on economy and try and send that across to his allies, try and help them win that planet early on, and then transfer back across to finish the job on number 2. It looks as though, judging by the build order down on Zillus, that they have designated this as their primary fighting planet. And I suspect, if I look at the build queue on Purgatorium, you're likely to see a lot more Eco. I am wrong. They haven't actually decided to build any Eco anywhere. Interesting strategy, guys.
It is kind of a mistake to focus on Zillus, though. It's a lot easier early game to focus on Purgatorium. Again, I said that I'd casted a lot of games on this system before, and both cases, the team that lost Purgatorium first lost the game. So I think the Purgatorium is going to be the deciding factor, because it's so easy to win because of the proximity of these spawns. Just look at that. They're within spitting distance of one another. And the commander is moving out from purple. Now this is another thing that I noticed in the other casts that I've done of this system. One of the commanders is always aggressive, is always overextending, and always the first to die. So we'll have to see whether the commander here, I think this is Custard's commander on the moon.
You are correct.
We'll have to play accordingly and try and avoid boombots. He's gone heavy tanks, which might not be great at defending against boombots from heavy bot start.
Now, don't forget, of course, that we have two players who have got complete control of all of the armies. So although we have Burntcustard's commander here, it's fair bet to assume that at least in the early game, Custard will be in charge of his fight on this planet. However, let's not forget, he can always jump across, and in fact, he probably has a picture-in-picture window open to assist Andreas with unit control over on Zillus, and likewise, he probably has one open to support Custard. So both players can divert at least some attention to each other's bases. So we're going to be seeing primarily fighting on Purgatorium between Custard and I believe this is Alpha on the
Yes.
Purgatorium planet.
That will most likely be Alpha. I see an additional bot factory going up from Alpha. Will that be the Boombot factory? Yes, it is. It is the Boombot factory,
Wow,
Roncat. Okay. And look at this commander from Custard. It is being so aggressive, and there's nothing to defend it. There's nothing to defend it, Roncat.
That's not good. Although, that said, he's got a raiding force going around the back here. I suspect that actually what he's going for is to try and take out some of this economy, which is not a bad idea in itself. He does need to be careful of those boombots. He probably is very well aware that they are on the cards. He is a seasoned player. He's played on the system before, I'm sure. And he's aware of the dangers. And in fact, he has actually seen the boombots with his docks. The docks have seen the boombots, so he knows what's happening. The docks are now chasing those boombots down to try and deal with them and kill them before they become a threat.
It should also be noted that Custard in the early days of PA was one of the better players at com rushing. Not that he's one of the better players anyway, that's still the case, but he was really good and really practiced and seasoned veteran of the com rush. He knows how to defend his com on the front lines. So, and we can already see there adapting docks into his build queues there to move relatively close to his commander. But actually, looking at it, Orange is answering pretty well with this turret positioning. That's heavy turret positioning, which will counter any com push, but the pelters going up should be able to deal with it in
This
kind.
is going to be an all-out frontal assault between these two commanders here. This is going to be no quarter given. The winner of this little 1v1 between these two commanders is going to have a huge impact on the rest of the game. There's a pelter being constructed here, trying to take some shots at that enemy commander. Getting a couple in there. There we go. only does 2% at a time. He needs to shoot him quite a lot to do any real damage. Accuracy is a problem, but he just keeps chipping away, and he's building now a pelter of his own, trying to respond to that, trying to repair it with a fabricator. That's a very expensive thing to do. So actually this pelter is doing a lot of damage to Orange's economy by having to force them to repair the commander against damage being done to it. Boombot's attempting to come around the side here. There's enough high damage units there to stop them from doing so. That commander's down to 86% health. I'm not quite sure that's the wise idea. They really ought to focus on the opposing pelter at this point, because that's going to cause some problems for purple now, especially if it fires back and deals with the pelter. There are now 2 pelters for purple, however. I'm not sure that they have realised that Orange have built one to counter it just yet.
I think they probably do. They might not necessarily have the scout on it in order to be able to target it, however, and that is of course the case. Now, something to be noted, teleporters are up for Orange. So Orange, knowing that they're not necessarily coming under heavy fire on Zillus, are saying, okay, well, let's send some reinforcements to Purgatorium. And here they come,
and
Docs and
needed,
Sparks.
actually.
Yes, they are indeed. Burntcustard's commander, however, retreating.
As well now.
Yes. And wow, that was perfect unit timing, unit movement timing there for the purple units there, moving in, scouting that teleporter pretty much instantaneously. Mines going up, however. They do not have the skitter. Do they see the combat fab just spewing into apparently nothing?
That teleporter's probably got to survive if that commander puts some well-placed super cannons out there.
I don't think they should be focusing down on it necessarily. They could either do one or two things. They could focus on the teleporter and retreat, or they can focus on the commander and keep the teleporter alive.
Or they can walk into
the mines! The mines!
Ow. I felt that one.
Yes. I almost thought that they'd get away with it, but he managed to clip it with his tank tracks.
Meddling kids. Yes. Now, actually, the orange team are the one with the successful pelter, and the purple team's pelter just doesn't know where the other pelter is, or they can't actually hit each other. I don't think these two pelters are out of range of one another,
mutually blind at this point.
Mutually useless at this point, I think. Really. Yes. Oh no, I tell a lie. They can, but the purple team just hasn't got the knowledge to actually fire back. I am keeping one eye on the other planet, Zillus. So far, no really meaningful confrontations just yet. A few little units clashing here and there, but primarily both players focused on the fight on Purgatorium, it seems.
And there are the T2 bots now going up from purple. All the reinforcements coming through. The purple teleporter now, and the T2 bots almost ready.
About to go down.
Yes. Oh, they're struggling with their power though. A few units didn't go through, but they'll just be retargeted. But the thing is that T2 bots, if that goes up without getting seen by the orange team, they don't know that it's there. If that T2 then goes to reinforce Purgatorium with sniper bots per se, that is going to be lethal. So
importantly, there are no skitters in that unit composition just yet, so those mines could still be putting in an awful lot of work. Looks like most of the defending units are Sparks, which isn't actually a fantastic thing against Ants. Ants are quite good at dealing with Sparks. Sparks are primarily good at dealing with small, lightly armoured Docs. Ants have got a bit too much armour for the Sparks to really be that effective. Also, I'm not sure how much power they actually have available to them right now. They're using up a lot of their power, and they're going to be eating through even more of it.
Yeah, they're desperately trying to get that teleporter up so they can send some more units through. But there's a good skitter placement from Orange to get his intel on where he wants the pelter to be.
A few hits on him, I think.
Yeah, but the mines.
The mines. They know that. They must know that they're there. They must be able to see those mines being a problem.
Their dudes are retreating now away from the lip of that crater.
Now we will hopefully see some skitters being added to the build queue.
With any luck, but the T2 bots are up. The T2 fabricator is off the factory line now and is going around to get advanced mechs, perhaps.
Well, we have skitters now present on Purgatorium, so the effectiveness of those mines now nullified. However, they have done their job. They have kept that commander safer than he really, really ought to have been at that point. The meantime, really, Burntcustard's putting on a lot of pressure, and Alpha's commander down at less than half health, just over half health, my apologies, and Custard's got control here. He's completely denying the rest of that planet to Alpha. I think they've given up on this. I think they're actually giving up on Purgatorium for the most part, and I would not be surprised to see that commander getting off the planet. We do see other teleports coming out, however, and some more units coming through to try and support the defense of this moon.
They do like their Sparks. It is curious how Sparks are being favoured here over Docs. What should be noted though, back on Zillus and on Purgatorium as well, look around at that expansion from Purple. And in the economy tab, 312.
It's showing massively.
And it's allowing them to get their T2 up. They've got slammers now on the field on Zillus. They can start to push out, possibly even send the slammers back to Purgatorium there. But the T2 is not started from Orange, and they just can't afford it really either.
Well, at the moment, both teams are really in the doldrums as far as economy is concerned. In particular, the power for Purple is going to be quite crippling for them. Because they are not able to run that teleporter without some power. They have it switched off, in fact, at the moment to try and preserve some power. I'm not quite sure. It looks to me like Orange is sort of hovering between staying on Purgatorium and trying to fight for it, or just running away. But I can't see that they have not got the right unit composition for this. Sparks are the wrong unit for this.
I think the last thing they want to do is run away. The last thing they want to do is relinquish this planet. I will stand by that from experience of other games.
I agree with you, but at the same time, Sparks versus Ants is not going to go well for them. They just don't have much of an answer to what's going on here. And the teleporter from Purple is now back online. I expect we'll start seeing some slammers coming through in a minute. Indeed, there's one sat there, two, in fact. And those are quite a big threat, especially to Sparks.
Yeah, and even if we see... I'd be surprised if we don't see a Fabricator come through, an Advanced Fabricator, and we also see some Skitters there as well, so when those move in with the army, they'll be able to spy some mines, but moving into air actually on the moon. So we've actually transitioned into moon battles to the point that air is a thing now.
Well, yeah, there's enough air there, and that air is actually doing a very, very good job of raiding and keeping them hemmed in. Oh dear, Roncat. Look at that ping there. There's drifters harassing the power for Orange. That's going to really, really hurt. At the moment, they're still floating for power, but that won't last long unless there's something done about that very quickly indeed. They need to sort that out very, very quickly. Back in the main base, though, transitioning to T2 vehicles. Oh dear, more slammers pouring through the teleporter. The air game is now beginning to go for... Oh, actually, the commander on Zillus, 49%. I don't know quite how that happened. I would imagine he's just been raided or something. Yeah, a load of aircraft just flew over him and took that out of him. I was watching on the picture-in-picture. It wasn't a huge push, but it was enough to really cause him some problems. There's some slammers getting ready to the commander up on Purgatorium. Yeah, this is the big thing now. These slammers here in range. There's not a lot to defend. There's sparks, but there's no point defense. There's no pelters, and here we go charging in for the all-in. There are skitters in the force as well, so they can see the mines. They know where they're not supposed to tread. Uber cannon's getting off. I don't think this is going to work for Purple. I think Orange will just about be able to defend, but the commander's taking damage though, and even if the commander doesn't lose to the ground force here, the bombers will be able to snipe. The commander is going to run for the teleporter here. He's got to get out of there. They've lost their power. Those drifters. Oh, but the bombers are finishing it off. Pass. Oh, it's a multi-pass. And that's it. That's the moon. I think that was just a one pass. Actually, I think it was the last bomb of the first pass. That was a one pass. You wish. I do wish, and I believe Runcat. That hasn't necessarily cost them the moon, but I would say that's a fair way towards it. The problem is now it's not necessarily the commander loss that's cost them the moon. It's their economy and the teleporter, and Purple is just snowballing away. This is nasty. This is really, really nasty. Those drifters have absolutely... They've completely removed any chance of reinforcing the moon. And that was a really, really good play. I had just glanced at the Twitch chat, by the way. I have been incorrectly saying it was Alpha on here. It is, in fact, Pie Man versus Custard on this moon. Moon Pie. Or at least it has been up until now, depending on exactly what they've decided to do now that they've lost the commander. I can't see an avenue here. They're just sending everything they've got on this moon straight towards Purple, just to see if they can do something. By the looks of things, I don't know. They haven't scouted, so they have no idea what they're about to send those units into. But I can tell you now, it's a lot of pain. Lots of pain. Nowhere not near enough. Is trending. Nowhere near enough AA in there. There's bombers making light work of the remaining units on this moon. The thing is now that the moon is on the backhand. The back foot, rather, being backhanded. But the economy, the economy
It's horrendous how far Purple are in the lead, and their unit count is reflective of that, with almost more than double of that of Orange. They've got more factories, they've got more fabricators, they are controlling this game, and there just isn't much Orange can do about this. Their unit count is predominantly on the moon, and there's a large force, including levelers and slammers, encroaching on the last, already damaged commander.
I don't see a way out for Orange at this point. I think they probably realise as well just how resolutely Purple's destruction has been. They're charging the commander straight towards the oncoming forces. They know what this is.
That is over in a jiffy. But Orange, as the loser, can now choose the map for the second game in this best of 3. It has to be from the tournament map pool, however.
Does it? Okay.
It does.
Now, what would you say this particular team is going to want to choose?
I don't know.
What sort of map? Don't give me a specific one. Give me the sort of map you think the Pieman and Alpha might be predisposed towards.
One where they can get their T2 up early, one where they're not going to be rushed necessarily, and one where perhaps they can negate the teamwork advantage of Custard and Andreas. So possibly a single planet. I don't think they'll go for another multi-planet game.
I suspect strongly they will avoid the Fortress planet like the plague with bells on.
Possibly. We'll have to see.
Although, that said, they've been watching the stream as well as everyone else. They'll have seen the strats that Burntcustard and Andreas are capable of. In fact, no, I lied. They wouldn't have done because they would have been playing their own games at this point. So they might not necessarily know what is in store for them on Fortress. They might have plans of their own on it. I suspect actually that they could even choose Fortress.
It's all
we'll have to wait
possible
to see what it is that they choose. They will now have to host the next game.
Indeed. But yeah, that last game. So I can't help but think that it was the economy runoff and T2 on Zillus that just helped Purple win that. Because that allowed them additional production, and they just couldn't really cope with it thereafter.
To be honest with you, I was primarily watching what's happening on the moon, as indeed were you. I suspect, actually, that the deciding factor in that game was not what was happening on the moon. It was more to do with what's happening down on Zillus itself.
Well, I think that, the deciding factor of that game was the deciding factor of the moon, insofar as what helped Purple to just win overall. So, nothing to do with the moon, really. But yeah, the T2... early T2 from Purple that wasn't scouted from Orange was really good. Really good to go for. So
you are occupying a player slot, Mr. Marshall.
I am currently login accepted. So they will just have to wait. There we go. They have chosen to go with the G system.
Now remind me again, G system. Which one is this? You don't know, do you? This was the one from the quarterfinals. This was the one which we watched between.
Was it that one where we just went crazy over storms?
No, it was not that one.
It was a mix of desert and mountain. Then.
That was one of the semi-finals. And we watched Scrubs versus Spaghetti Strats, if you recall.
Yes.
I remember this one well now. Interesting. I don't know what to make of this.
In the lobby here, we have the losers choosing the G system, and Andreas playing with the mind game, saying, "Haha, you want to play a decisive final game on a map that I made? Okay."
Challenge accepted, I think.
Yes.
But having said that, now he's typed that in the chat. If they are to lose this game, he is going to have his tail well and truly tucked between his legs.
Yes. We shall see whether he shall eat his words.